That may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, so y'all know every single Saturday I'm going out and we are giving you the most recent injury updates. That video is going to come out a little later today, as well as answering some last minute start sit questions. Now, I'm also going to be live streaming tonight. Y'all know I live stream every single day. We have live streamed every day for about 80 days now, whether that's fantasy drafts, me answering your start sit questions. I'm also answering hundreds, if not thousands of questions every single day down there in the YouTube comment section. So make sure you're leaving those comments, because not only am I going to be answering as many questions as I can, but at the same time, you know, with the Fantasy Flock Network hat giveaway, I mean, we came out and made the announcement that I'm going to be giving away a couple hundred hats for free. Well, I had so many people reaching out to me saying, Mason, I really want a hat. Can I go out and can I just pay you for one? Can I pay you? Can I buy you for one? No, I'm not selling them at all. They're all giving back to the community. I'm just wanting to give them to y'all for free with everybody who engages on the videos. So every time you drop a like and leave a comment on a video, you get entered into winning a hat for that day. And I'm going to be giving away multiple hats every single day, because based on y'all's demand, I called back that company. I was like, you know what? We're going to need a couple hundred more. Send them over. So I'm going to be sending out 4 hats every single day. 2 of them from people in the YouTube comment section, as well as 2 of them for people who signed up for Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK. If you don't know what Underdog Fantasy is, I mean, it's just essentially a website where you can do weekly fantasy drafts. I go out there and I draft almost every single day, and we do those drafts on the live streams at the same time. You make a $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK. You get $10 added to your account, and also you get entered in to win a Fantasy Flock Network hat, and you make that one $10 deposit, and every single day when we're doing those entries, your email's always in that entry, and it's going to be much easier to get the hat that way. But for this video, let's announce the winner that we had. And this winner was Mason Glenday, who says, love you're willing to admit when you make a wrong choice. By far and away the best fantasy page. Mason, throw your fellow Mason a hat. And if you see this, who should I start at wide receiver 2? DK Metcalf or Chris Godwin? There, go DK Metcalf, man. But yeah, congrats on winning the Fantasy Flock Network hat. This is the first hat giveaway of the season. We're going to be giving away 3 to 4 hats every single day throughout the rest of the year. All you have to do is please make sure you send me an email. You can find that email in the description of the video. Shoot me a DM on either Twitter, Instagram. Doesn't matter how you reach me, just reach me so I can confirm that you are Mason Glenday and I can get that hat sent over to you. And yeah, that should be it. Let's go through and let's talk about these start sit questions. Make sure y'all drop that like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel so you're entered in to win that hat. And Vez coming out with our first question, who says Brandon Cooks or Mike Williams in a half PPR format. So obviously both wide receivers that had very impressive week 1 performances here with both Brandon Cooks and Mike Williams. Now Brandon Cooks going over 130 receiving yards and clearly the alpha target on his offense, which I know a lot of people are going to assume that we want Brandon Cooks because of that. But honestly, no, it doesn't matter that Brandon Cooks is the unquestioned one on his offense. It doesn't matter that he's going up against the same defense that let Tyreek Hill have damn near 200 receiving yards a week ago. I'm going to fill you on a small secret here. And okay, this is like the deep cutting analysis that you're subscribed to this channel in the first place for. Brandon Cooks is not the same talent at the wide receiver position as Tyreek Hill. Tyrod Taylor is not the same level quarterback as Patrick Mahomes. Now, I know some of y'all aren't going to agree with that. I know that's a little controversial, but I promise you, I did the deep historical analysis behind that, and I promise you it's a completely different situation going up against Cleveland. I think overall, this Cleveland defense is one that we're wanting to avoid 90% of the time. The spread on this game is 12.5 points. Vegas thinks that Houston's not going to be able to put points up on the board. And here with Los Angeles, I mean, this is going to be the perfect shootout situation going up against the Dallas Cowboys. We know that Dak Prescott can put up a ridiculous amount of points, and with Dak putting up those points, you're going to have Justin Herbert in a situation where he's most likely throwing the ball. We can take advantage. Mike Williams is that big-bodied wide receiver coming off a 12-target performance against a very good Washington defense. Now, I think going up against Dallas, it's going to be a complete smash. Now, our next question coming out from Nicholas, who says full PPR, Mike Williams, Antonio Brown, or Deonte Johnson at the flex. Okay, so Deonte Johnson, I think that this is a wide receiver that way too many people are overrating based on what you're going to have in Pittsburgh this year. I mean, we can clearly see that this Pittsburgh Steelers offense is trying to be a lot more balanced from where they were a year ago, where they are going to be trying to get the ball a little bit more to their running back in Najee Harris. They're going to be trying to slow it down and play with their defense, exactly what they did against Buffalo. I think these games are going to be getting ugly. I don't want to be projecting any of Juju Smith-Schuster, Chase Claypool, or Deonte Johnson, any of those wide receivers to be an every week starter for us. And however, Mike Williams, Antonio Brown, both guys, fantastic matchups this week. I mean, with Antonio Brown in particular, going up against the Atlanta Falcons, you actually have this as a scenario where, I mean, Tampa is supposed to blow them out, another 12.5-point spread here. That's a massive spread. And actually, Tampa has the highest implied team total of this entire week. Vegas is expecting that the Bucs are going to put up an absurd amount of points. Antonio Brown looked like his old self. All reports in training camp were discussing how talented Antonio Brown was and how he looked like he was returning to form. I mean, I think that you have to go with Antonio Brown here. Even though Mike Williams does have a fantastic matchup, Antonio Brown at this point is a must-start wide receiver for you every single week. Now, our next question coming out from Fantasy Drive, who says Ben Roethlisberger, Trevor Lawrence, or Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, so obviously you have the great matchup for Teddy Bridgewater going up against Jacksonville, where Tyrod Taylor just had a pretty good performance. But with that being said, I mean, missing Jerry Jeudy is going to be putting just a damper on my expectations for the Denver Broncos passing attack. Trevor Lawrence, while yes, I mean, he very much struggled just a week ago. You're looking at this as a scenario where now this is going to be his second game in the NFL. At least he'll have some footing underneath himself. This is going to be his second week playing with DJ Chark. Laviska Shenault, we should be able to expect to continue to improve. Ben Roethlisberger, on the other hand, is actually, I think, going to be the player that we have to go with. While, yes, I don't want to be betting on any of those one individual wide receivers for Pittsburgh. If you're going to be betting on anybody in this passing attack, might as well just go with the quarterback this week who we know everything's going to be driven through. And it's hard to know exactly how the targets are going to break down between these wide receivers, which makes me a little reluctant to just go jam in someone like Deonte Johnson over Antonio Brown. But it doesn't matter what the target breakdown looks like for those wide receivers. We don't need that clarity to just look at Ben Roethlisberger and say, well, it's going to be a much better matchup this week. And with a much better matchup, I think maybe he can go out there and succeed based off passing volume alone. So yeah, we're going to go with Ben Roethlisberger, even though obviously Teddy Bridgewater has a great matchup. And if Jerry Jeudy was healthy, we would go Teddy Bridgewater, but go with Ben Roethlisberger for now. And Adam says DJ Moore, Jamar Chase, or Deonte Johnson, full PPR, starting Godwin, Justin Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb already. Okay, first off, congrats on having just a ridiculous wide receiver core here. I mean, if you have Godwin, Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and then all of a sudden your wide receiver 4 and wide receiver 5 are the combination of DJ Moore, Jamar Chase, and Deonte Johnson, I think this is a clear spot where you want to be trying to make a package trade where you're possibly moving one of Deonte Johnson and a running back 2 on your team. That way you can be trying to upgrade your running back 2 position. I mean, if we could make a move like that, that's a no-brainer. But just speaking of who we're going to be starting this week, I actually think that player is going to be DJ Moore. Now, yes, there are some red flags with DJ Moore compared to where we stood in the pre-draft process. With DJ Moore going into the season, I really love targeting him in the 4th, 5th round because this was a wide receiver. If you look at the historic age-adjusted production that he had back in 2019, I mean, DJ Moore was on a path to be DeAndre Hopkins level good. Of course, he's not that same level talent, but at least from a raw numbers perspective, DJ Moore appeared to have a very high ceiling. Now, one problem with this is you're looking at the overall situation, and Christian McCaffrey is going to be soaking up so much passing volume here that it does really suck to try to look at a 3-man wide receiver core of DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Terrace Marshall and assume that any one of these guys will be turning into an alpha. And to go along with this, it's a very tough matchup against New Orleans this week. But with all that being said, DJ Moore, we have a long track record of a very high floor production where I don't necessarily think that we can say that at this point with Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase definitely has probably the highest ceiling of any wide receiver in this grouping. But for now, I think DJ Moore is still a must-start player for you, even though we can acknowledge that there are some negatives on his profile. Okay, so now our next question is going to be coming out from Logan, who says Julio Jones or AJ Dillon, non-PPR for the flex spot. Okay, so this is something that I have to address for two reasons. A, I've been getting way too many Julio Jones questions in these live streams. People kind of forgetting who Julio Jones is. Now, while yes, the overall Tennessee Titans offense was horrendous this past week, at the end of the day, it's so hard to look at Julio Jones and just think that based on a 1 week sample, we need to be changing our complete outlook on him, and we need to be viewing him in a completely different light from a player that he was before. So Julio Jones, please don't be overreacting there. And with AJ Dillon, I understand the excitement centered around the fact that you're looking at him as a player that is going to have that Jamal Williams role, and also this matchup against Detroit. You should most likely have the Packers dropping approximately, I ran the projections before this video, and the Packers are supposed to score somewhere in the range of 274 points this week and 312. Now, maybe it's a little closer to the 274 than the 312. I was a little aggressive on where we had their pace for this upcoming week, but this is a game where, you have an 11.5 point spread right now with Green Bay versus Detroit. Obviously, it's a fantastic matchup. You can't be getting this excited about AJ Dillon, though. With AJ Dillon, loved him in fantasy drafts based on the fact that he does have that Jamal Williams role. And if anything were to occur to Aaron Jones, all of a sudden AJ Dillon most likely becomes a top 12 running back in fantasy. However, to be talking about him in the same range as Julio Jones, that is just ridiculous in my opinion. And now going over to our next question. This is actually going to come out from the YouTube comment section. And this is coming from Super Desmo, who says Davonte Smith over Cooper Kupp, ? Okay, so obviously I actually went out and I talked about Davonte Smith being a must start wide receiver for us every week out. But at the end of the day, it's Cooper Kupp. And what we saw from this Matthew Stafford-led Los Angeles Rams offense is that they're looking to throw the ball over and over and over again. Y'all know I said to start Darrell Henderson this past week based on the fact that with Darrell Henderson, he had a plus matchup against the Chicago Bears where you were expecting the Los Angeles Rams to be leading at the end of the game, where they could go through and they could just run and grind that clock down with Darrell Henderson. So yes, that actually played out. But this week against Indianapolis, I'm going to be expecting this to be a significantly closer game compared to what we had with Chicago. So I think that pass happy rate that we actually saw with the Los Angeles Rams in game neutral situations does make it where I think we're a lot more willing to just go, you know what? All of these guys, you're going to see possibly 20 passing attempts in this game before the first half even ends. I want to be jamming in Cooper Kupp. I want to be jamming in Robert Woods. I want to be jamming in Tyler Higbee. Davonte Smith going up against San Francisco, still worried about this 49ers defense. While yes, I want to be starting Smith everywhere we can, just not in a league where you'd have to bench Cooper Kupp. Go with Cooper Kupp. Now our next question coming out from Tom, who says start Ryan Tannehill or Jameis Winston. I have Julio Jones, so the Ryan Tannehill stack is possibly there if that matters. Honestly, I'll say that the stack here doesn't matter that much for me. Now, we always talk about stacks mattering a lot in drafts because you're going to be making an overall bet on an offense throughout the entire year for whenever you are constructing your team. But when you are going through and submitting your starting lineup, stacks aren't really going to matter that much unless you're playing in like a DFS contest where you need to make sure that you have that very high ceiling in a tournament setting. But if you're just going through your weekly matchup, I would definitely just prefer to go with the player that has the higher projection. And between Jameis Winston and Ryan Tannehill, yes, of course, you have it where Ryan Tannehill is extremely disappointing this past week in what I thought was going to be a can't mess up matchup. I thought it was just a smash spot against the Arizona Cardinals for this entire Tennessee Titans offense. And you also had Jameis Winston throwing for 5 passing touchdowns. Now, with all that being said, you're going Ryan Tannehill. I think one thing that we have to address is the fact that you're looking at Ryan Tannehill as a quarterback that does not necessarily have the team situation around him to be able to play catch up in these games. More so, Ryan Tannehill and the Tennessee Titans are being built to sustain a lead. So I think it doesn't necessarily come that surprising, the fact that if Arizona does get that large lead at the beginning, when this entire offense is set up around the play action pass is not going to be that effective when you're down by 3 touchdowns because the opposing defense goes, hell, run it. Well, we don't care at all. You can run it over and over and over again if that's what you're about. We are just going to sit back and we're going to play for the pass. So the play action went completely out the window. I think this week against the Seattle Seahawks, the chances that that happens, honestly, probably a little little less. So we are going to go with Ryan Tannehill instead of Jameis Winston, even though based on the previous week's performance, that seems like a crazy thing to do. Okay, so now our next question is coming out from Jeffrey, who says Nelson Agholor, Jalen Waddle, or DJ Chark for the flex spot. And here, I mean, if you would have asked me this just a day ago, I would have 100% told you DJ Chark. DJ Chark coming off a 12 target performance in week 1. I thought that he would be a no-brainer whenever you had Will Fuller coming back to Miami, and that was going to be taking away targets for Jalen Waddle. Well, Will Fuller has been ruled out Sunday due to personal reasons, and that completely changes everything. Now, it's still a very tough matchup going up against a Buffalo defense that just successfully shut down the overall passing attack in Pittsburgh. But with that being said, am I crazy to want Jalen Waddle here? I mean, I think that it's very close between Waddle and DJ Chark. Now, you can't consider Nelson Agholor, in my opinion. At the end of the day, we probably still would lean with DJ Chark, with him being able to draw 12 targets right away coming back from that injury. I think he should be able to continue to improve his overall chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. Hopefully, Urban Meyer can figure out how to run an NFL offense. So it's close between Waddle and DJ Chark. We're probably going to go DJ Chark there. Sean says, start 1, Nelson Agholor, Tyler Boyd, Tyson Williams, James Robinson in a half PPR league. Okay, so here, you're not going to hear this answer that much longer. We're going to go Tyson Williams. And we've had a lot of questions asking me, Mason, why are you so low on Tyson Williams? Why is Tyson Williams not in your top 24 running backs this week? And with Tyson Williams, it's because he is having no shot to be the feature running back for the Baltimore Ravens. This is definitely going to be a situation where it's a split backfield regardless. It doesn't matter who that starter is going to be. Now, it may be a split backfield where Latavius Murray is getting 60% of the carries and then Tyson Williams is getting 40%, and maybe a split backfield where it's a straight 50-50. It may be a split backfield where Tyson Williams is getting 60% of the carries and Latavius Murray is getting 40%. Well, either way you cut it, it's not going to drop a lot of upside for Tyson Williams. However, he is the one running back that has been with this team for a long time now, whereas Latavius Murray, Davonte Smith, Le'Veon Bell, they are all just there for a very short term. So I think that this is possibly the last week. We kind of said this last week as well with Tyson Williams, that we wanted to be starting him in week 1, but after that, we are going to be trying to move him to our bench and we are going to be trying to sell high. I think plan A is to go and sell high on Tyson Williams, try to package up from your running back 2 to get an upgrade in your starting lineup. If you can't do that, then start him, even though it is close with James Robinson. The problem is Robinson literally was a backup running back this past week. He was a backup running back. Carlos Hyde was getting the work at the beginning of the game. Now, our next question coming out from Samuel says, Mike Evans and Tyson Williams for Saquon Barkley. I'm loaded at wide receiver and weak on running back. I know this is not a start set question, but it's the perfect example of a trade that I am trying to make. Yes, you are buying Saquon Barkley on the low. Yes, we said to buy him after week 2. We knew he was not going to be a very productive running back in week 2 based on the matchup that he had going up against Washington. That came true for us. And I think now it's time to be going and trying to shop for Saquon Barkley. He's going to have 10 days to rest. They should be able to take the training wheels off going into week 3 with the plus matchup against Atlanta. I think this is a no-brainer trade. And I wanted to string it along with our previous Tyson Williams question, because this is kind of what we're talking about by trying to use him in a package to get an upgrade somewhere else in the starting lineup. Okay, so now our last question coming out from Gabriel says, nice content, need your advice, start Jalen Waddle or Darnell Mooney this week in a PPR, thanks. Yeah, here it's a no-brainer. Now that we have Will Fuller ruled out, you go Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle was very impressive his first week in the NFL. There's no reason to expect that his role now begins to shrink. If anything, maybe Tua Tagovailoa feels a little more comfortable in him going into week 2. So yeah, we're going to go Jalen Waddle. Y'all know I've never really liked Darnell Mooney in fantasy drafts. Always thought that was going to be a player that we are avoiding. So go Jalen Waddle here. And yeah, that's all I got for y'all. I really hope that y'all enjoyed this video. I really hope I was able to get to your question. And of course, go down there, leave a comment below with any start set question that you may have. As soon as you leave that comment, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. You are entered in to win a hat for completely free. We're going to be giving away multiple hats every single day throughout the entire season. And also use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Deposit $10. You can find the link in the description of the channel. When you deposit $10, you get $10 added to your account. You get into fantasy drafts with me. And to go along with all of this, I mean, you're supporting the channel and having a much better chance to walk away with a flock hat. So yeah, that's all I got for y'all. Really hope y'all enjoyed this, and I really hope that y'all have a great day.